Pause. Just for a moment. Just right here, right now, in the middle of whatever your day has been. In the middle of whatever is pulling at your attention and demanding your energy and filling your mind with noise. In the middle of the to-do lists and the worries and the conversations replaying in your head and the plans you are trying to figure out and the burdens you have been carrying since before you even opened your eyes this morning. In the middle of all of it, just pause. Because heaven has something to say to you. Not to the version of you that performs for the world. Not to the version of you that has it all together or pretends to. Not to the version of you that shows up strong and capable and unbothered even when inside everything feels like it is barely holding. Heaven is not interested in that version today. Heaven wants to speak to the real you. The one underneath all of that. The one that knows things your logical mind has not caught up with yet. The one that has been quietly waiting for someone to say exactly what you are about to read. So pause, breathe, and receive. Because what heaven is about to say to you has been waiting for the right moment to reach you. And this is that moment. Not tomorrow. Not when things settle down. Not when you have more time or more peace or more certainty. Now, exactly as you are. Exactly where you are. In the middle of your real life with all its complications and contradictions and beautiful, exhausting, ongoing humanness. Heaven chose this moment to speak to you. And that alone tells you something about how important you are to the realm that created you. Heaven does not pause for just anyone. Heaven paused for you. Think about what that means. The entire spiritual realm, the angels and the light and the divine presence that holds everything in existence, paused to send a message specifically for you. Not a general broadcast, not a mass communication. A specific, intentional, this particular soul message, addressed to you by name. Delivered to you at this exact moment because heaven knows your timing better than you do, and heaven knew that today was the day you needed to hear this. So do not rush past it. Do not skim. Do not receive this halfway while your mind is already moving to the next thing. Let it land. Let it settle. Let it reach all the way down to that deep place inside you that has been waiting to be spoken to like this. Because what heaven has to say to you today is going to change something. Not on the surface. In the foundation, in the place where the decisions that shape your life actually get made, in the place where your sense of who you are and what you are worth and what is possible for your life actually lives. Heaven is speaking into that place today, and once truth gets into that place, really gets in, it does not leave. You will carry what you receive here for the rest of your life. There is something heaven wants you to understand about why you were chosen. Not chosen in a distant theological sense that feels more like a concept than a reality. Chosen in the immediate, personal, it applies to your specific life sense. Because there is a difference between knowing that God chooses people and actually knowing in the core of your being that God chose you. Most people live their entire lives in the first category. They believe the doctrine. They affirm the theology. But somewhere deep down they carry a quiet suspicion that the choosing applies to everyone else more fully than it applies to them. That other people are more chosen, more favored, more worthy of heaven's attention and investment and active pursuit. If that is where you have been living, heaven wants to move you out of that place today. You were chosen, specifically, deliberately, with full knowledge of who you are, what you have done, where you have failed, how many times you have doubted, how many nights you have questioned, how many moments you have felt utterly unworthy of anything divine. With full knowledge of every version of yourself that you are not proud of. With full knowledge of the gap between who you are and who you want to be. With all of that information available and considered, heaven chose you anyway. Not as a consolation, not as second choice, not as a backup plan because someone better was not available, as the actual, intentional, first-choice selection of a God who sees everything and still said this one. This is the one I want. This is the one I made for this specific purpose. This is the one whose story I am going to write in ways that will take their breath away. That is you. And the reason you are only now beginning to fully receive that truth is not because it was not always true. It has always been true. The reason is because the path to fully receiving it required you to go through exactly what you have been through. The doubting was part of it. The questioning was part of it. The seasons of feeling unchosen and overlooked and forgotten were part of the formation process. You cannot fully appreciate the reality of being chosen until you have been through enough to understand what it would mean if you were not. You cannot fully receive the crown until you have walked through the valley where the crown felt like a distant, impossible dream. You have walked through that valley. You are coming out the other side, and the crown is closer than it has ever been. Heaven wants to speak to you about the season you are in right now, because there is something about this specific season that you may not fully understand yet. Something that changes the way the current chapter of your life looks when you see it clearly. You are in a transition, not a crisis. A transition. There is a profound difference between those two things, even though they can feel identical when you are inside them. A crisis is something going wrong. A transition is something shifting. A crisis is the enemy having his way. A transition is God rearranging things for your benefit. A crisis leaves you in a worse place than you started. A transition moves you from one level to the next. And while both can be painful, while both can feel disorienting and difficult and uncertain, only one of them ends with you in a better place. You are in the one that ends with you in a better place. I know it may not feel that way right now. When you are in the middle of a transition, when things are shifting and rearranging and old things are falling away and new things have not yet fully arrived, it can feel like nothing but loss. You see what is leaving. You do not yet see what is coming. And the gap between what left and what is coming, that in-between space where you are standing right now, is the most uncomfortable place in any divine process. It is the space where faith is most tested, where hope feels most stretched, where the temptation to interpret what is happening as abandonment rather than transition is strongest. But heaven wants you to look at your transition differently today. Heaven wants you to see it as what it actually is, not a falling apart, a preparing. Every relationship that shifted was creating space for the right ones. Every plan that collapsed was making room for a better plan. Every door that closed was protecting you from a room you were not ready for or that was not right for you. Every ending was a beginning that has not yet fully revealed itself. Every loss was a clearing. Every confusion was the moment before clarity arrives. And clarity is arriving. The transition you are in right now is finishing. The preparing is done. The clearing is complete. The new thing that heaven has been building while you were walking through the transition is nearly ready to be revealed. And when it is revealed, when you see what all of this was leading to, when you understand what the transition was actually preparing you for, you are going to understand everything. Every hard moment, every painful loss, every confusing season, every moment where you could not see the point. It will all make sense, and it will all have been worth it. There are things heaven has been holding in reserve for you, things that were prepared, that were ready, that were waiting for the right moment in your story to be released. Not because heaven was withholding them to punish you or to test your patience in a cruel way, but because timing is everything when it comes to divine gifts. A gift given before you are ready for it does not bless you. It overwhelms you. A door opened before you have developed the capacity to walk through it wisely does not advance you. It sets you back. A relationship sent before you have done the internal work to sustain it does not last. It breaks. Heaven is not careless with the things it gives to its chosen people. Heaven is intentional. Heaven is precise. Heaven gives things at exactly the right moment. The moment when you are actually ready to receive them fully, to steward them wisely, to be multiplied by them rather than diminished by them. And heaven has been watching you through this season and through every season before it, and heaven has seen the work being done, the growth happening, the capacity increasing, the character being formed, the faith being refined, the wisdom being built. And heaven is saying today that the timing is right. The things that have been held in reserve are being released. The doors that have been locked are being unlocked. The relationships that have been in preparation are being sent. The resources that have been building are being released. The breakthroughs that have been forming beneath the surface like a wave that is not yet visible from the shore are about to become visible. All of it. At once. In the divine acceleration that heaven releases over chosen lives when the preparation is complete and the season shifts. You are about to receive things you stopped expecting. You are about to see breakthrough in areas you had quietly given up on. You are about to experience the goodness of God in ways that reach past your guard and your self-protection and your carefully managed hope and hit you fully, completely, in ways that make you cry not from sadness, but from the overwhelming reality of being loved this specifically by a God this faithful. Get ready, not frantically, not anxiously, but with the open-handed, open-hearted posture of someone who actually expects what God promised. Because it is coming, and it is close. Heaven sees 5 specific things about your life right now that it wants to address directly. 5 things that are either misunderstood or hidden or not yet fully revealed, but that heaven wants to bring into clarity today because each one carries something important for the next chapter of your story. The first thing heaven sees is your unseen faithfulness, the things you have been doing in private that no one has celebrated or applauded or even noticed, the prayers you have been praying alone, the integrity you have maintained when no one was watching and compromise would have been so much easier, the kindness you have extended to people who were in no position to repay you, the consistency you have shown in small things when no one was tracking whether you showed up. The quiet, daily, unflashy faithfulness that does not make headlines, but that heaven has been recording every single day. Heaven wants you to know that not one moment of that unseen faithfulness has been missed. Not one. Heaven has been watching all of it, every private prayer, every quiet act of obedience, every moment you chose integrity in the dark, every time you kept going when quitting would have been so much easier and no one would have blamed you if you had. All of it has been seen. All of it has been valued, and all of it is being rewarded. The faithfulness you poured out in private is about to produce a harvest that is anything but private. What was done in secret is about to be celebrated in the open. The second thing heaven sees is your hidden strength. There is a resilience in you that you may have stopped recognizing because it has become so routine. You have survived so many things. You have come through so many seasons that should have broken you. You have continued so many times when continuing made no logical sense. And because you are still here, because you are still standing, because you are still choosing to believe and to show up and to try, it can start to feel ordinary, like just what you do. Like the bare minimum, like nothing remarkable. But heaven sees it as remarkable. Heaven looks at your continued presence, at the fact that you are still here, still open, still reading these words, still willing to receive and believe, and heaven calls that strength. Real strength. The rarest kind. The kind that does not announce itself. The kind that does not require an audience. The kind that shows up in the dark and keeps going and never quits, not because it does not feel the weight, but because underneath the weight there is something unbreakable. That unbreakable thing in you is divine. It was put there on purpose, and heaven honors it today. The third thing heaven sees is your specific wound, the one that has been there the longest, the one that shaped the most, the one that you have worked around and learned to live with and maybe even almost forgotten in the busyness of daily life, but that still makes itself known in certain moments, in certain conversations, in certain relationships, in the way you respond to specific kinds of rejection or abandonment or disappointment. The wound that taught you not to need too much or hope too loudly or trust too quickly. Heaven sees that wound, and heaven is not ignoring it or stepping around it or waiting for you to heal it on your own before the blessing comes. Heaven is coming into the wound, into the actual place of injury, with the specific kind of healing that only God can offer. The healing that does not just manage the symptoms, but addresses the root. The healing that does not just teach you to cope, but actually restores what was lost. The healing that makes you not just functional, but whole. That healing is available to you right now, in this moment. As you read these words, you do not have to do anything to earn it or prepare for it or make yourself worthy of it. You just have to be willing to receive it, to let heaven into the place you have kept most guarded, to trust that the God who sees the wound is also the God who knows how to heal it. The fourth thing heaven sees is your specific dream, the one you have carried the longest, the one that has survived every season, including the ones that were specifically designed to kill it, the one you do not talk about much anymore because talking about it has sometimes led to disappointment and sometimes led to judgment and sometimes led to that particular kind of loneliness that comes from sharing something precious with someone who cannot see its value. The dream that lives in the most protected room of your heart, that dream is not dead. It has never been dead. It has been preserved, kept safe, held in heaven's hands through every season that tried to bury it. And heaven is breathing life back into it now. The dream that you thought was too old, too naive, too impossible, too far from your current reality to ever become real is not dead. It has been in God's hands the whole time. And the God who gave you that dream in the first place did not give it to you as a cruel joke or a beautiful impossibility. God gave it to you as a seed. Seeds do not look like what they are becoming while they are underground. They look dead. They look still. They look like nothing is happening. But underground in the dark, in the place where you cannot see, everything is happening. The root is forming. The foundation is being laid. The structure is being built. Your dream is about to break ground. The fifth thing heaven sees is your readiness. This one is the most important of all, because all of the preparation, all of the formation, all of the refining and the building and the shaping and the breaking open that has happened in your life up to this point has been leading to this. To a you that is actually ready, actually equipped, actually carrying the capacity to hold and steward and be multiplied by everything that is coming. You are ready, not perfect. You will never be perfect, and heaven is not waiting for perfect, but ready. The work that needed to be done is done. The character that needed to be formed is formed. The healing that needed to happen has happened to the degree that it needs to have happened for the next season. The faith that needed to be stretched has been stretched. The strength that needed to be built has been built. You are ready. And heaven is moving accordingly. Part 2. I want to talk about what is coming. Not in vague spiritual language that sounds beautiful but lands nowhere. Specifically, practically, in the areas of your life where you are most hungry for change, most aware of the gap between where you are and where you feel called to be, most in need of the tangible evidence that heaven is real and active and personally invested in the details of your one specific human life. Heaven is moving in your provision. The financial dimension of your life has been one of the places where the strain has been most felt, where the worry has lived most consistently, where the gap between what is needed and what is available has created the most ongoing pressure. Heaven sees all of that, the specific numbers, the specific stresses, the specific moments of shame or fear that money has created in your life, and heaven is not distant from those moments. Heaven is not above the practical realities of human life. The God who fed multitudes in the wilderness and provided oil for a widow and brought resources to those who trusted him in every generation of human history is the same God who is actively involved in your financial reality right now. And that God is declaring abundance over your life in this season, not because you have done everything right financially, not as a reward for perfect stewardship, but because the assignment heaven has given you requires resources, and heaven does not give assignments without providing what is needed to walk them out. The resources for your calling are being released. The provision for your next chapter is being arranged. The financial shift that you have been believing for, that you have been praying toward, that you have sometimes almost given up on, is real, and it is coming, and it is going to be undeniably God when it arrives. Unexpected sources, unexpected timing, unexpected amounts. The kind of provision that makes you put your hand over your mouth because you cannot believe it is actually happening after everything you have been through. That is what is coming in the area of your finances. Heaven is moving in your health. Whether the health concern is physical or emotional or mental or spiritual, heaven sees it, and heaven is working in it. The body that has been under strain, the mind that has been carrying too much, the emotions that have been pushed past their natural capacity for too long without adequate rest or support or care, the spirit that has been weary in ways that go beyond what any physical rest can fully address. Heaven is bringing restoration to all of it, not always instantaneously, though sometimes, but thoroughly, in the way that a loving God heals, with attention to root causes as well as symptoms, with care for the whole person, not just the part that is visibly struggling, with wisdom that surpasses medical understanding and emotional intelligence and spiritual insight combined. The healing that is available to you is comprehensive. It covers everything. And it is being released into your life in this season. Receive it. Open yourself to it. Let the walls down that have kept you from fully letting God into your health situation, whether those walls were built from disappointment with previous healing that felt too slow or too incomplete, or from a theological confusion about whether God actually heals in this generation, or from simple exhaustion with the effort of hopping for something you have not yet seen. Let the walls down, and let the healer in. Heaven is moving in your relationships. The specific connections that your soul needs in this next season are being arranged. The ones that have been damaged or broken are being assessed by heaven and either being restored in new and healthier forms or being replaced by something better. The loneliness that has been your companion for too long is being addressed, not with quantity of people, but with quality, with the specific kinds of connection that actually feed your soul rather than just filling your calendar. Some of you are specifically believing for one particular relationship. A person you love, a situation that has been broken or stuck or not yet fully arrived. Heaven sees that specific relationship. Heaven knows the name of that specific person. And heaven is working in that situation in ways you cannot see from where you are standing, softening hearts, arranging circumstances, creating the conditions for what needs to happen. Trust the process even when you cannot see it. Trust the God who sees both sides of the situation. The outcome that heaven has planned for that relationship is better than what your worried mind has been rehearsing at 3 a.m. Heaven is moving in your purpose. The assignment that has been forming in you through everything you have been through, the specific contribution that only you can make because only you have your combination of gifts and wounds and experience and perspective and calling, is being released. The things you have been preparing to do are ready to be done. The people you were made to reach are ready to be reached. The impact you were created to have is ready to be made. And the doors that needed to be opened to make that possible are opening. Let me tell you something about the opposition you are facing, because chosen people face opposition. That is not a sign that something has gone wrong. It is a sign that something is very right. The enemy is not strategic in attacking people who are not a threat. The enemy reserves his most focused opposition for the people whose calling is most significant, for the lives whose impact would be most devastating to his kingdom if those people actually walked fully into their assignment. You are one of those people. The fact that you have faced opposition, that you have encountered resistance, that things have felt harder than they should have for someone who is trying to do right and live faithfully and pursue something meaningful, is not evidence of God's absence. It is evidence of the enemy's awareness of what you carry. The enemy knows what you are called to. The enemy knows what will happen if you actually step fully into it, and the enemy has been strategically working to prevent that from happening. Every discouragement that visited you, every delay that frustrated you, every relationship that was sabotaged, every door that was slammed, every thought of unworthiness that whispered you were not enough, every wave of doubt that made the calling feel foolish, every season of waiting that made the promises feel empty, every piece of opposition you have faced has been strategic, targeted, aimed at the specific thing the enemy is most afraid of. And it has not worked. You are still here. You are still reading these words. You are still open to the possibility that God is real and active and invested in your life. You are still carrying the calling that the enemy has been trying to extinguish since before you fully understood that you had it. Every attack failed. Every strategy was overcome. Not because you are perfect or spiritually unassailable, but because the God who is for you is greater than anything that has ever come against you. And heaven wants you to walk forward from this moment with that knowledge as your foundation, not arrogance, confidence. The confidence of someone who knows that they are covered, that they are chosen, that the God of the universe has personally invested in their story and personally guaranteed that the enemy will not have the final word. The final word belongs to God, and God's final word over your life is not defeat, not lack, not lonely, not broken, not forgotten, not too late. God's final word over your life is victory. There is a gift that heaven wants to give you in this moment that has nothing to do with circumstances and everything to do with your inner world. A gift that will serve you in every season, in every situation, through every challenge and every breakthrough and every moment in between. The gift of knowing who you are when heaven looks at you. Not who you think you are on your worst days, not who your critics say you are, not who your failures have tried to convince you that you are, not who your past made you for a season, but who you actually are, in the eyes of the God who made you and knows you and chose you and loves you. You are a soul of extraordinary value, not because of what you have produced or accomplished or offered or earned, because of what you are, a being made in the image of the divine, carrying eternity inside a human experience, walking through time with something timeless living inside you, more valuable to heaven than you have ever allowed yourself to believe, more significant to the story of this generation than your limited human perspective has ever been able to fully grasp. You are beloved, not theoretically, actually, in the specific, knowing, chosen you not just everyone kind of way. The God who sees every sparrow also sees every moment of your life and has numbered every hair on your head not because that information is useful, but because it is the most natural expression of the attention heaven pays to what heaven loves. And heaven loves you with that kind of attention, that kind of specificity, that kind of extravagance of care. You are purposed. The reason you exist is not arbitrary. The reason you are here at this specific time in history, in this specific body, with this specific collection of gifts and wounds and experiences and perspectives is not random. It is designed. There is a purpose that only you fulfill, a place in the story that only you occupy, a contribution that only you make in the way that you make it. And that purpose is alive and active, and being worked out through your life, even in the seasons when you cannot see it or feel it. You are held, not by your own strength, not by your own discipline or faith or consistency, by God. The same hands that hold the universe hold you. The same love that sustains all of creation sustains you. The same faithfulness that has never failed in all of human history has never failed you and will never fail you. You are held by something so much stronger than anything you face that the gap between the two is beyond calculation. Know that. Let it settle. Let it become the bedrock of how you move through the world. As we come to the close of what heaven wanted to say to you today, I want to leave you with something to carry. Not a list of things to do, not more requirements to meet, just a truth to hold. Heaven paused for you today. In the middle of everything, in the middle of your regular human life with all its noise and demands and complications, heaven paused and sent a message specifically for you. And the message was not what you needed to do better or where you were falling short or what God requires of you before the blessing comes. The message was who you are, how loved you are, how chosen you are, how seen and known and valued and covered and held you are. That is what heaven wanted you to pause long enough to hear. Because here is what heaven knows that you sometimes forget. You function better when you know you are loved. You are braver when you know you are chosen. You are more faithful when you know you are seen. You hold on longer when you know heaven is holding you. You live more fully, give more freely, hope more boldly, love more deeply, pursue your calling with more courage and less fear when the foundation beneath you is the unshakable reality of being known and wanted and valued by the God who made everything. That is the foundation heaven is reinforcing in you today. Not with theology, with encounter. With the specific, personal, this message was for you reality of a God who sees you and loves you and chose you, and has not for one single moment stopped working on your behalf. You paused today, heaven spoke, and something in you received it. Now go live from that place. Go live as someone who knows they are chosen, who knows they are loved, who knows they are covered, who knows that the best of their story is still ahead, and that the God who has been faithful through every chapter so far will be faithful through every chapter to come. Go live as the chosen one you are. Because you are. And heaven wants you to know it.